Good evening, everyone. We're going to start very soon as we can upload the slides. Vincent, tu veux les mettre ou je les mets?
So this is my video, at least. It's not what I'm looking for, but that's one point. Okay.
If you press the settings, the tools at the top,
maybe settings, yes.
Yes,
manage files. Yeah, got it. I think I have the repositories, and now import.
You can import the slides and then share
okay,
them.
That's the trick. Okay, thank you, Colin.
It took me a while the first time.
Yeah. I didn't notice this change in the Mythico interface. Sorry for that. Okay, so now I should be able to. Here we are. Share. Yes. Perfect. That was the trick. Marie-Josée?
We'll start. So welcome, everyone. We're 5 minutes late, which is fashionable. Welcome to this last meeting of this group, which has been going on for 8.5 years, and Vincent will make a review of what we have done during those years. So next slide. So the goal from the beginning was to foster research in network and application layer coding, and with the goal to improve overall network performance, and from there application performance. Codes and coding libraries, looking at protocols to use that use coding, and real-world use cases. And I would say that we did a lot of work on codes and coding libraries, as Vincent is going to mention. We looked at some, maybe less at protocols, but I would say congestion control and other aspects of the networking that's needed to facilitate the use of coding. And there was a lot of discussion about use cases and work in progress and how to make this work both on the software implementations and on the application side. Next slide. So this group has been challenged with intellectual property, but it is to remind everyone that when you talk today, we do follow the IETF intellectual property, and that everything is going to be under that. And if you want to know, there's a bunch of RFCs and information about this in the policy repositories. Next slide. Same thing for privacy and the code of conduct. You know, this is an IETF. We also follow the IETF in this, and there's a lot of information about anti-harassment procedure, which also this group has been challenged, and that actually should not happen. And we actually have to agree to that. Next slide. So I think even in these days, people are still not sure with the IETF, that the IETF is not a standards development organization, that we do research and that we're interested in research, even if that research eventually may lead to real world implementation that may go to the IETF. We are not a standards, we are a research organization. Next slide. So this is where we are. We have obviously a charter that was updated through the years. We have a very nice GitHub that has a lot of material. Our mailing list, although we're closing the group, is going to be still active to finalize everything we need to do before all the current drafts that are in process will be finalized. And obviously there's a GitHub repository for all the, again, the material and related information. Next slide. So of course, this is a recorded session, and if you want to talk, press the raise hand button, and the recording is going to be available, so it helps a lot when you write notes. Next slide. So we don't have a really big agenda today because most of the drafts do not have updates. They're all finalized. They're in the queue to become informational RFCs, and the ones that are not in the informational RFC queue have been either abandoned for now and maybe picked up somewhere else later. But for the moment, everything that needs to be dealt with has been dealt with. So we're not going to have any presentation today. And again, I'd like to thank the people who've been very active in this group who are in Europe, besides Vincent. I can see Cedric and Nicholas, and I know it's the middle of the night. Your carriage was transformed into a pumpkin 10 minutes ago. So I'm very happy that everybody is here. And so the only presentation is going to be Vincent's network coding research group status after 8.5 years, and highlight what went well, what went wrong, what could have done better, and the fact that I think we're pretty happy with what happened. So Vincent, you can probably take over.
Yes, I will take that. Changing the slides. So here we are. Do you see the slides? Is it okay for you? Yep. Okay, so this is a very strange session. This is in fact the last NWCRG research group meeting, last opportunity, and so we hesitated a little bit, but we decided to have it, even if there is no technical presentation. We decided to have this meeting because it was a good opportunity to do a status, a summary of what happened during this past 8 years and a half, and to thank you all. So that's important also, I think, we think. So, as I said, this is a research group that started in beginning of 2013, launched by Brian Adamson and Victor Furiot. At that time, Lars was the IETF chair. And we held our first meeting in Orlando, I remember, during IETF 86, so some time ago. And then a few things happened. The group went up and down. During the 2016 year, there was very little activity, and Lars was about to close the group, in fact. When I decided it shouldn't be done like that, something should be done to revive this group. I have the feeling it was an important topic for IETF and IRTF. So Brian stepped down, and I volunteered to continue the activity, to continue to co-chair the group. So which happened end of 2016. The next year, the year after that, Marie-Josée joined me, and together we did, I think, great things. First of all, we finalized the IFC, what will become the IFC 8406, the taxonomy document, which is something that started a few years before, 4 years before that, in 2013. And nice document with many authors. If I remember correctly, there are 14 or 15 authors for this IFC, which is pretty unusual, but it was well, the output of this group, so it was meaningful to have so many of us. So many people contributed, and we published it in 2018. That was the first IFC of this group. We now have a second IFC, IFC 8975, which discusses the use of network coding and coding in general for satellite systems. Nice IFC. Initiated by Nicolas, who is present, and Emmanuel Lechin. And it has been published earlier this year, in January this year. So we are also very happy with this second IFC. And as Marie said, there are 2 now and almost 3 very soon additional documents that will enter the last standardization step. One for network coding for CCN, another one for coding and congestion control, and last one, hopefully, the BATS document. I will come back to those 3 documents. The work is not finalized. So 2 IFC for the moment, that's nice, but in fact, I can say there are 3 very closely related IFCs that have not been published by this research group, but I initiated the work on those IFCs within this group. So they are closely related. In fact, those are for the FEC-frame system, FEC-frame framework. So it's more related to the TSV working group at IETF. But as I said, this is closely related to what we are doing here in NWCRG. In fact, those 3 IFCs explain how to extend the FEC-frame system framework for the use of sliding window codes. so typical of network coding. But in this particular case, those sliding window codes are used purely end-to-end. So that's the reason why it's more appropriate to this TSV working group. FakeFrame has also been initiated, not in TSV working group, but in the previous FakeFrame working group, so which has been closed in the meantime. So 3 additional IFCs not produced by Nwcrg, but closely related to the Nwcrg work. And each time there was an update to this draft, I also used to present this to our research group as well. Well, at least the interesting part, the research part. And of course, life is not always a long fleuve tranquille. Sometimes there are controversial events, and we had one in particular related to IPR disclosure last year. So it's pretty strange because during the first 7 years of this research group, no IPR disclosure has been made, ever. And then suddenly, just after the publication of IFC 8681, so the one I just mentioned before on the sliding window ILC FEC schemes for FakeFrame, just after its publication, we had this IPR disclosure from Codon, which was pretty unexpected, I would say. It was also a bit uncomfortable for my co-chair, for Marie-Josée, since she is co-inventor of this patent. But she explained, and I fully agree and fully support her, that she does not believe this patent applies to this work. So she never made any disclosure, so that's perfectly fine, no problem for that. So we won't go into details. We don't want to discuss this. That's not the point. But yes, sometimes we are facing well, difficult situation. That's probably one of the key issue, key topic that's happened during this research group. Okay, so let's continue. We also have a few regrets. That's unavoidable. So first of all, the fact that there is no random linear network coding document produced by this network coding group. In fact, it used to be called Network Coding Research Group, and then we changed the name for the acronym for a different name. We changed this for Coding for Efficient Network Communications. But anyway, random linear network coding is part of the core of this research group, at least the way it was thought initially. And at the end of this group, we have nothing, no IFC describing such coding schemes. So those contrary those systems are meant to do recoding within the network, which is the core of this network coding idea. By the way, Codon, so the same company, we initiated 2 internet drafts on this topic, but not finalized them. Explained at some point of time, it was in June 2018, that they had no reason to do any API disclosure for this document. So it's a bit strange. Well, why no disclosure for this, whereas there is a disclosure for the ILC, IFC, random sliding window ILC, IFC, that's incomprehensible for me, but anyway, that's a different topic. So that's the first regret we can have. The second regret is that there is no IFC describing Tetris, so Tetris, which is a pretty cool end-to-end communication system with a sliding window included as the core protection mechanism within this protocol. So we initiated an internet draft. I was also part of the co-authors, but we never finalized this for various reasons. We also, and that's the third regret we can have, we also initiated some work for FEC, well, FEC for Quick and RLC codes for Quick. We had those two internet drafts, but we never managed to go till the end for several reasons. Well, lack of resource for sure, but also because of the very long standardization process of Quick. Well. So those two internet drafts do exist. For the moment, we have no motivation for reactivating them. It won't be part of the of our research group anywhere, for sure. Maybe it will be the case within the coming months. At the moment, I cannot say much more about it, but it may happen, but not in the context of NCRG. So that's for the first part of the regret. And the last regret I can have is this nice activity about Swift, so the sliding window FEC codec hackathon project. We are not very far from the end, from having something, a working codec. At the moment, we can do encoding, we can do some, we can initiate some decoding, but that's not, well, it's not finalized, does not work. So there's still some extra work to be done. I would like to thank a lot my colleague, Cedric Agi, who is his engineer, spent a lot of work, did a lot of work on the topic. That was a great project, even if we didn't manage to have some working solution. We also realized that it's pretty difficult to work on a hackathon project remotely. As far as I'm concerned, I never managed to devote a few days for those hackathon sessions remotely. There are always, it's always difficult. We are always bothered by extra activities, and so it is also one of the reasons why we didn't manage to go any further. So basically, we stopped at the point we were 1 year ago and never managed to come up with something working. Okay. So what's next? We are approaching the end. We won't have any meeting anymore. This is what we explained last year, and we always said that this July 2020 will be the last meeting, but there will still be some extra work, essentially within ISG. With those two documents that already entered the ISG processing waiting queue. So the first one for network coding for content-centric networking and named data networking. So a nice internet draft from Kazuisha and Hitoshi and Cedric Westphal on well, what network coding can do to help CCN communications. And the second document, the second internet draft, is this coding and congestion control document. Very nice stuff. That explains what are the good, how we should use coding with respect to congestion control. There are many pitfalls, many mistakes to avoid, and this cool document explains how we can do that in a better way. So once again, it's in the ISG waiting queue. And last but not least, we'll also very soon finalize this BATS codes document. So that's an activity that started quite a long time ago. I would say in 2015 or most probably. I remember a presentation from Raymond Young back in London meeting. So I don't remember which IETF meeting it was, but it was in London. So it was a great pleasure for us to have Raymond, very famous in this domain, presenting this the first ideas around bats, and then afterwards he made a lot of well, a few additional presentations, very nice presentations. So that's something very cool because bats codes are deployed in China in particular, within what he explained, with those smart lampus, for instance, and that's pretty cool stuff. So we will start the research group last call very rapidly, right after this meeting, I think. The document has been updated recently, yesterday. So that will be the last step for our group for this document, and then we will continue if everything is fine. If there is a consensus within this research group, we'll continue with the ISG processing, probably in September or October. And we are, as we said, we are very close to the end, so we are almost done. This is the last meeting, and I wanted to have this session essentially to thank you all, because I think we did nice work during this 8 years, a bit more than 8 years, and it was very a pleasure for us, for Marie-José and myself, and I guess also for the previous chairs to work with you. And well, that's a bit strange, but that's the end of the story. But we are very happy to be here, and I think we did good job, even if we didn't manage to finalize all the activities that we launched at some point of time. So thank you all. So Marie-José, don't know if you want to add something.
No, I think you basically summarized what we've done. I think I think, you know, the goal was to foster some research and some development in the field of network coding, and I think in this we've been successful. And I think it was a pleasure for me to work with you and with, well, first it was Lars and then Colin in making this happen. And again,
and Alison.
Pardon me?
Alison was also
oh yes, Alison. I
IETF
forgot
chair.
Alison. Oh my God, yes, I forgot Alison. And she was also very supportive when I started being the chair. It was my first time I was the chair, so it was there was a bit of a learning curve. And again, I see on the list a number of people who've been extremely active in this group, and you know, without you guys, nothing of this would have happened. So thank you. So I think that's it. Colin, you're in the queue.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to echo all the thanks to you, Marie-José, to Vincent, to all the other contributors to the group over the years. I think, as Vincent showed in the presentation, I think there's been a lot of really nice work coming out of this group. I know it's not all been plain sailing, but I do think we've learned a lot from the group's work, and I think that the group has made a lot of really nice contributions to the community. And yeah, I fully expect we'll see a lot more network coding work getting adopted in the IETF in future, and I expect a fair chunk of it will have been influenced by the ideas that came out of this group and were discussed in this group. So yeah, thank you again, and I look forward to finishing up the work and working with you all in future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Colin.
Yeah, we know that the work in Quick, for example, I've seen Christian Utema mentioning it in the context of the multipath Quick, and so I'm sure people are going to continue monitoring it, and you know, the work is there, the documents are there, so you know, it's for people to take advantage of it. Any other questions, comments? Well, I like short meetings, and I guess you guys want to go to bed, so yeah, you guys are living what I lived when we were in Bangkok time. If there is nothing else, we can move any other discussion on the mailing list. And yeah, I actually I feel a little bit. So it was my first research group, and also I would say it's the first one that I closed. So it's a bit, we'll be nostalgic of this. So thank you so much, everyone. And if there's nothing else, I guess, yes, good night. And we'll move every other discussion on the list.
Yes, thank you all. And let's continue on the list for the next few weeks. And hopefully we'll be done at the end of the year. So thank you very much. Thank you, Cédric. Thank you, Nicolas. Thank you all.
Dormez bien tout le monde.
Yes. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you. And I'm sure we'll have a drink to mark the occasion when we eventually meet again in person. So
yes, meeting. Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Goodbye.